Have you ever felt completely done? That moment when you sit alone, thinking, how much more of this pain can I take? There are no more tears, no energy, just a huge silence where everything inside you screams, stop. But maybe, in that exact moment, you are ready for a new start, a life change your soul has been preparing for. Carl Jung believed that the times we call hitting a wall are actually strong signals. They mean your inner self is rebuilding, getting rid of the old rules to let your true self finally show up. To get there, you must walk through the hard times, the feelings of being tired, full of doubt, scared, and wanting to give up. Force yourself to keep going is not about being cruel to yourself or just powering through. It is a necessary, deep cleaning for your soul. It forces the weak part of you to find your real strength. It forces your conscious mind, the ego, to start trusting something bigger than itself. This is not a test of muscle. It is a test of faith and the choice to keep walking even when you can't see the path. We will look at 7 simple steps in this journey, where Jung shows that forcing yourself to keep going isn't about becoming stronger, but about becoming more real. Are you ready to see what is possible when you don't quit? When you feel completely drained, that is when your inner strength starts to form. There's a point when your body feels heavy, your mind is numb, and you just want to stop. You think, I can't do this anymore. But Jung said, a person cannot handle a life without meaning. Feeling drained is not a sign you are weak. It's a sign that the old way you lived is about to fall apart, so a stronger version of you can be born. Think about how muscles grow. They hurt the most right before they get stronger. Your soul is the same. When you feel totally tired, you are not collapsing. You are building steel inside your spirit. The exhaustion is just the smoke covering the fire that is making you tough. I remember the story of a painter named Clara. After years of no success, she felt completely empty. She decided to paint one last picture just to finish things. When she was done, the painting was messy and raw, completely different from her past work, but deeply honest. Later, people loved it. Clara said, when I was tired, I stopped trying to be an artist. I just lived honestly, and from that, I found myself again. This is what Jung meant. You don't find enlightenment by thinking happy thoughts, but by looking closely at your dark side. It's a mistake to think only people who are always happy and strong succeed. Real strength doesn't come from being motivated. It comes from having meaning. Motivation is a quick fire that goes out. Meaning is a quiet flame inside that lasts. Jung believed people quit not because they lack energy, but because they no longer see why they should keep going. When you are tired, ask yourself, is my body tired, or is my soul begging me to pay attention? You might feel like everything is pointless. Work, goals, everything. This is not the end. This is the moment between the old you, who chased what others wanted, and the real you, who only needs to live truthfully. When your conscious mind feels like it's losing control, it makes you want to quit, but your soul is simply saying, enough, stop chasing, start living honestly. You must remember, being tired is not a failure. It's an invitation. Every time you want to stop, look deeper and ask, am I tired because I am being real, or because I'm living the way someone else wanted? The answer will tell you what you need is not rest, but a new direction. Jung himself went through a long, dark time after leaving his teacher Freud. Instead of running, he wrote and drew all his strange dreams and thoughts, creating the Red Book, which holds all his best ideas. If he had quit when he was tired, we wouldn't have his wisdom. Force yourself to keep going doesn't mean hurting yourself. It means letting the old, scared, weak part of you die, so the true living part can emerge. You must let part of you break so your soul can breathe. You keep going not to prove anything, but because something deep inside you hasn't finished living. If you are tired today, know that you are in the fire, becoming stronger. Rest if you must, but don't quit. Slow down, but don't turn back. When fear shouts the hidden dark side of you, the shadow wants to be seen. After you have pushed through exhaustion, a deeper challenge appears. Fear. It doesn't come loudly. It comes like a sudden chill, making you doubt everything. But Jung taught, until you make your hidden thoughts clear, they will run your life and you will call it bad luck. Every time you want to stop, it's not the world against you. It's the forgotten part of your inner self asking for attention. Fear is the sound of your shadow knocking. This is the part of you you try to hide. Your weaknesses, shame, and failures. It rises now, not to hurt you, but to be accepted. You can't be strong forever by pushing away the weak parts. The more you try to avoid fear, the stronger it chases you. But when you stop, turn, and look at it, you see it's not a monster. It's just a part of you that needs love. I heard the story of a mountain climber caught in a terrible storm. Alone and shaking, she later said, "I wasn't scared of dying. I was scared of facing myself when no one was left to watch." When she couldn't move up or down, she had to sit still and breathe. She stopped fighting the cold and the fear. When the storm passed, she felt she hadn't beaten the mountain, but had become a part of it. Jung called this the meeting with the shadow. Fear is not the enemy. It is a mirror showing what you haven't dared to look at. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is walking through fear without letting it control you. When you fear failure or not being good enough, your inner self is sending a message. I need to be healed. You thought you wouldn't survive the last big scare you had, but you did. Not because the fear vanished, but because you learned to keep moving while the fear was there. That is the moment you change. Fear stops being a wall and becomes the fuel. Every time your shadow appears, it doesn't break you. It makes you larger. The more you accept your darkness, the more whole you become. The true meaning of force yourself to keep going is to walk through fear without pretending you are not scared. Fear is not something to destroy. It's a part of you waiting to be seen. Sit with it gently. When you can stay with your fear without running, you have already won. When you lose your way, that is when the mask you wear starts to break. After you have been brave enough to face your fear, something deep and quiet happens. You feel lost. You don't know why you are doing anything anymore. Jung says this is the moment your persona, the mask you wear for the world, starts to crack. You feel lost, not because you truly are, but because you are no longer holding on to the role you used to play. The mask is useful, but when it becomes your entire life, you lose the real person behind it. The soul makes you feel lost, so you stop and look at yourself. A woman who was a successful director felt totally empty despite her perfect career. She said, "I no longer knew who I was living for. I had built a perfect identity, and I didn't recognize myself inside it." She quit her job and moved away. In the quiet, she realized she had only known how to act like herself. When the mask fell, she didn't lose energy. She found real energy. She started painting again, for herself. Her first painting was called "The Day I Got Lost." This is what Jung meant. The greatest gift in life is becoming who you really are. Losing your way is a gift, because only when the old path disappears can the real one begin. This stage makes you feel empty and detached, but don't rush back to the old, safe identity. The mask of being successful or impressive cannot go with you on the rest of your life's journey. Let it crack. Every crack in the mask is a light beam that lets your soul look out and lets the world finally see you. You can't force yourself forward with your old will, because that will belonged to the mask. Instead, sit and listen. Listen to what needs to be let go of. In that silence, meaning starts to grow. You will realize you don't need to be strong. You just need to be true. When you stop trying to be a good person or a successful person, you finally become a free person. If you are lost now, don't be afraid. The old map is useless, and the new one only appears when you dare to just be with yourself. When your motivation is gone, find meaning, not just goals. If you've lost yourself so much that you don't recognize yourself, you lose the will to continue. You wake up, and everything looks the same. Your job, your routine, but you feel empty, not because you are lazy, but because the fire that guided you has gone out. Jung said, "You don't need to find motivation again. You need to find meaning again. Goals make you run fast, but meaning makes you go far." Goals come from your conscious mind, the ego, which wants to control. Meaning comes from your deepest self, which only wants to live honestly. When outside motivation disappears, only meaning keeps you going quietly, like water flowing under dry ground. I heard the story of Eva, a surgeon who had everything. But one day, after surgery, she looked in the mirror and cried. Everything was fine, she said, but fine felt hollow. She realized she wasn't healing anyone. She was just functioning like a machine. She went to work at a small clinic abroad. She cried again, this time not from emptiness, but because she felt truly alive. She said, "I thought I lost motivation, but I just lost meaning." Jung wrote, "The smallest thing with meaning is worth more in life than the greatest thing without it." When life is all about goals, we lose the soul. Meaning holds you when everything else breaks. The moments you lose motivation are often your soul telling you, stop running. Listen. Force yourself to keep going doesn't mean doing more. It means forcing yourself to look deeper. Not, how do I get excited again? But, why am I doing this at all? When the answer returns, energy comes back, not as excitement, but as quiet certainty. If you feel empty, write 3 things. What makes you forget time when you do it? What makes you feel alive? Not just functioning. What would you still do even if no one ever knew? That is your meaning. When everything changes, become fluid like water. Once you have found meaning, life tests you with sudden change. If you thought being strong meant sticking to your plans, this stage is confusing. The world shifts, things break, and you ask, what now? Jung said, what you fight stays. The more you struggle against what is happening, the more it wears you out. But when you relax your grip, accept, and flow like water, you find strength in being soft. A woman named Isabel found out her husband was cheating. Her world was swallowed by a wave. She tried to fix things, but knew her old life was dead. She moved to the sea. Watching the ocean, she saw water does not argue with rocks. It flows around them. It doesn't try to hold a shape. It changes. By changing, it goes farther than anything that resists. She stopped trying to move on and just let the pain move through her. She later told her ex-husband, "Thank you. The crashing wave taught me how to float." Your life works the same way. The changes and losses don't destroy you. They shape you. Strong people don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" They ask, "What is this teaching me?" That difference keeps them standing. Jung wrote, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." An old Japanese art called kintsugi fixes broken pottery with gold. The cracks are not hidden. They become the most valuable part. Humans are the same. Your broken places, when accepted, become your beauty. The strongest person is not the one who never changes, but the one who changes while staying true to their heart. If you are in a period of big changes, remember that you don't need to know where you are going. You just need to keep flowing. Ask, if I were water, how would I move through this problem? When the world doesn't believe in you, let your inner voice lead. At some point, the people who supported you start to doubt you. Everything they say pushes against the direction you feel you must go. You wonder, am I wrong? Jung called this the awakening of your own authority. It's the point where you stop living by the noise of the crowd and start listening to the quiet voice of your soul. when you step away from the crowd's rules. You look strange, but that is the sign you are leaving the crowd's path to walk your own true path. A young writer named Leona was told her novel was too abstract and that no one would read it. She wanted to quit. But she read Jung. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. She realized she was afraid of being honest to herself. Her next book was written purely as a mirror for her soul. It didn't sell right away, but years later, it became famous because it was so true. Leona said, "The world didn't need to believe in me. I needed to believe in the voice inside me. The inner voice is not loud, but it has a strange certainty. When you listen to it, you enter a place where your gut feeling, intuition, is stronger than your logical mind." Jung said, "Your sight will become clear only when you look into your own heart. You don't need anyone else to understand, because they can't hear the voice meant only for you. When the world doubts you, don't try to argue. Your quiet certainty is stronger than any loud fight. There are times you must be willing to be misunderstood to be free. If everyone understands you, you are still speaking their language, not your own. Force yourself to keep going is the act of holding on to your faith, even when no one is walking beside you. If you are doubted, see it as a sign you are on your unique path. When you stop trying to keep going, and yet you are still moving, that is when your deepest self, the self, is leading. After all the struggle, when you have listened to your inner voice, something amazing happens. You no longer have to push yourself. The journey is still there, but you feel another energy moving through you, like an invisible hand guiding you. This is the self, the sacred core of your soul. When your conscious mind, the ego, stops trying to control everything, life starts working through you. A successful friend of mine lost her father and her job. She sold everything and moved away, trying to meditate and find herself. But the harder she tried, the emptier she felt. One morning, she stopped trying. She just walked in the fields. She realized she was moving without forcing herself. Not to heal, not to achieve, but because life was simply happening through her. This is what Jung meant by the self. You are not trying to live correctly. You are allowing life to live through you. You are letting go of the ego's demand to control the outcome. Force yourself to keep going becomes the courage to learn to trust. Trust that the river moves even when you stop swimming. When you have walked far enough, you realize you were never holding the journey. The journey was holding you. The difference between you and the path disappears. There is only the movement of life, breath by breath. This is the highest act of the soul, just being. You are no longer trying to overcome. You are simply present, and in that presence, life opens on its own. Force yourself to keep going means trusting more deeply, not pushing harder. It means remembering that the path is inside you, not ahead of you. Life never asked you to prove your strength, only to allow yourself to grow. If you have read this far, you now know that force yourself to keep going was never about pushing through pain with willpower. It was about learning to trust the deep life force already inside you. Every fall, every fear faced, every mask broken was not just survival. It was learning how to truly live. You don't need to fight life. You only need to grow past the pain that once trapped you. In the end, the greatest success is simply becoming yourself, grounded, quiet, and real. Stop fighting, and life will fall into place. Stop forcing, and the natural flow will return.